All right, hello again. We're going to do the critiques for the persuasive speech number 4. Sorry these are delayed. As you can see, I'm in a sweatshirt. We've had snow delays here and closings and all kinds of things, and I wish I would have gotten this to you sooner, but I simply couldn't. Let me talk about some of the things overall. This was your last major speech, and what we're looking for is kind of a progression. Have you gotten better as you've gone? Have you paid any attention to some of the things we've been saying? Have you shown improvement? If you started out the semester shooting up into yourself or the shot wasn't right, did you fix any of that? We've talked about it every single time, and some people have not changed a thing. And that's costing you dearly, believe me, because we're looking for some sign of improvement. The other thing is that one of the consistencies has been that some people don't appear to read the assignment. And I want to go over a couple of things on this assignment because they're crucial to why some of the grades are not all that good. And basically, this assignment was to persuade your audience for or against a question of policy. And then it says questions of policy inevitably involve questions of fact and questions of value, but questions of policy always go beyond both to decide whether something should or should not be done. And basically, we're trying to persuade someone of something. And in other words, questions of policy attempt to persuade an audience that a specific course of action should or should not be taken. So there's got to be an action step in your persuasion. The question of policies deal with a specific course of action. It's not, what about this and what about that? What do you like best? It's a course of policy. Should there be a death penalty? Should there not be a death penalty? And why? And you convince people of that. It says that you need to see that either there's passive agreement or immediate action from the audience, though you are encouraged to seek the latter, immediate action, if there is an appropriate action for the audience to take. In either case, be prepared to deal with the whole question of policy, and those are need, plan, and practicality. Need, plan, and practicality. You should have read that in your textbook. At the end of the speech, the audience should know that what your attitude or personal viewpoint on the topic is, but we still need to know what the experts have to say. Not just you, but what the experts have to say on your topic based on the research and based on your source citation and things like that. So the goal is to invoke a reaction, a mental or behavioral reaction from your audience, and the speech requires a balance of emotional appeal and researched information organized into a cohesive, logical, and documented outline. Emphasis is placed on citation of sources. All right, it also mentions that it should be clear of jargon. Your message should be accurate and use research. Your message should be vivid and memorable, using descriptive words, and it should keep the interest of your audience as you go, and also consider ways to relate the topic to your audience is what you need to have done. This was to have been a 7 to 9 minute speech. It's a 300-point speech. You needed an audience, and you needed an outline, delivery outline, preparation outline, and a speech outline, and you needed at least one visual aid. Now, one of the situations that came up a lot was if you're using PowerPoint or any kind of visual aid, and remember I told you keep the camera on you, for your audience too, not just for me, you need to say, in this picture you can see, or when you change in a PowerPoint, what are you drawing my attention to? You don't just change the PowerPoints and make no reference to them. Some of you sent me your PowerPoints, but you didn't give me any indication of when it changed. And even though I had a copy, I had no way of knowing where you were in your speech. So let's go into these. First up, and these are for both 80N and 81N. So first up, let's deal with Trixie. And Trixie, nice appearance. You mandated to a degree, and are there any that are unable to get a degree? You were talking about what you were talking, that we're mandated to get a degree, and are there any courses of action for people that are unable to do that? You're reading and speaking in phrases, so kind of a rhythm, da-da, 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 and you want to be careful you don't do that. And also, you have a kind of a rhythm in your speech because you're speaking in those phrases. Vary the length of the sentence. Remember the 5 things you can control: pitch, pace, tone, volume, and silence. Work on all of those. And then when I close my eyes and listen to you, you have an excellent presentation style, and that's very good. This was a nice job, but you probably needed to throw a bone of some kind to non-learners. Next up is scenic. Scenic, this was very hard to hear you, even when I had the volume up full. It's the wrong shot. It was soft focus. You shot up, in, cutting off the top of your head. I couldn't even see the top of your head. It was difficult to see your full face and even tell if your eyes are open. Cite your sources for all facts, not just a fact, and then have the audience understand that everything else you say that's a fact is from the same source. You don't want to make us assume that whatever fact you're giving is part of a previous citation. So you say that poor public schools will get worse by taking children in vouchers to private schools. Really, I would question that. Your speech ended abruptly, clearly before it was finished. And then what about transportation for the poor kids who would end up going to a private school with a voucher? Public schools provide transportation. Private schools generally don't. Next up is zippy, and you have nice appearance, good light on your face. You made excellent points with your comment. This was persuasive. You were too bound to your script. Sounds like an infomercial that you were doing. You have to have each phrase you read on a note card, and you don't want to do that because it became very predictable in the kinds of things you were doing. And what you want to do is make sure that your shadow on the wall, which is showing when you're doing the moving of your script to other things and other cards, turning them over, I could see what you were doing, even though it wasn't in the picture. It was your shadow. Overall, this is well done and persuasive. And then you mentioned David Emery, and I have no idea who David Emery is. Next up is duck, and you don't want to scratch while you're speaking. Establish your credibility. There are no name or labels on your outlines, so I don't know which one you intend to be preparation. I don't know which one you intended to be speaking. You are making an incredible assertion without documentation. You overused yummy. You have 2 speeches, animal treatment and meatless diets, and PETA seem to be your main source, and that can't be in a speech like this. Next up is Manchester. Nice appearance, just a little bit more energy. Careful about reading too much. Nice personal speech, good visuals. This worked because it was a personal story told in a conversational tone and lifestyle kind of situation, and make your source citations a little more obvious. Next is Dorian. Dorian, you turned off the camera after your audience intros. That is just the worst possible error you could make. That implies to me you introduced an audience and they left, or you edited in the audience from a previous speech. The camera was shooting up. You have a light tisk. Who is the better actor? Who cares? Why do we care about that? Lots of clearing of your throat. It's hard for non-Star Trek people to follow your reasoning. The flow is way too slow. Don't bounce up and down. Your pace is deadly slow. It's a lecture and not a speech that you were giving. It wasn't persuasive. Your sources are not clear in your actual speech. It's not a general audience speech, and you need to announce your visuals. Next up is Kiko. And Kiko, you're reading your speech way too much. You have the wrong camera shot. Your audio is way out of sync with what you're doing. There's a bright light over your right shoulder. That's causing some iris problems on your camera. You cite stats with no source. You state a fact with no source. Are you making all of this up? Stand still. You're bouncing too much. You ramble, and there is no flow or connection from point to point. It's very hard to listen to this. There's no energy and no purpose. You have a tisk. You have no audience, no outlines, and no visuals. Next up is Deline. Good energy. Don't come off so harsh. Smile a little bit. It's not that bad a situation. Even though you're talking about a serious topic, you can still be friendly. Center yourself in the shot. Turn off cell phones. Don't get lost in your flow. Good job of building a case and establishing your credibility. Good points made in the speech. Nice job on shortened refund issues. A solid ending. Good handling of resources in the speech. And work to show a softer side. Be a little warmer. And next and finally is Tesla. And Tesla, good appearance. Watch your flow. Reference your visuals in your speech so we know where the audience should be, what they should be looking for, and what. Very good opening to your story. Good quote, citation, very compelling, and very conversational style in your presentation. A nice ending. Watch the light tisk at the end of a sentence. Overall, that's pretty much what I have to say. I'm sorry this was a little bit late, and good luck on your final special occasion speech. Remember, all you need to do for the special occasion is send me your manuscript, word for word. There are no outlines. It's a word for word manuscript of what you do, and try not to read it, okay? All right, that'll be kind of the wrap up for the course. Make sure you finish all of the exams, all of the discussion boards, and get as many points as you can. If you have any questions, give me a call in the office. And if we don't talk again, have a great holiday semester break. And thank you for letting me talk to you and be a part of your speech course here at Ivy Tech. Have a great one.